Thank you so much, Steven, for being on the show today.
Thank you, Paul, for inviting me.
What is Zalando? And how did Zalando even come about?
So Zalando is actually one of the biggest European marketplaces. It has over 51 million consumers, generates around 10 billion euros in revenue, and is represented in 25 different countries in Europe. It's by far the biggest online marketplace for fashion. So if you want to be somewhere as a fashion brand in Europe, you need to be on Zalando.
What countries are we talking about here? Obviously, we're talking Europe, but what are the most prevalent countries when it comes to Zalando?
Zalando is from origin, it's a German marketplace, and that's also where they have built the foundations. When Zalando did its expansions in 2010, like Austria, like Switzerland, they entered into the Netherlands, and currently they are represented in, let's say, the majority of Western Europe. That means countries like Sweden, but also Belgium, Spain, Finland, Poland, Czech Republic, and so on and so on. I think they started in 2008, and then they grow, let's say, like substantially over the courses of the years. With I think the latest countries that have been added in 2022 was Hungary and Romania.
And solely on apparel and fashion, are they branching out into any other adjacent categories like health and beauty or
yes,
fashion accessories? Is there any sort of attempts there?
So they started, actually they copy pasted back in the days, not know if you still remember this name, like Zappos, which was actually a shoe retailer back in the days. And that's how Zalando approached it in the same way in 2008. And that's how they actually started as, let's say, an online shoe store. And then throughout the years, they expanded more into fashion and apparel. Also, let's say, then adding, I think, like 2 years ago, personal care towards their portfolio. And now they're also recently added toys to it.
So let's talk a little bit about the differences between Zalando and the others. Let's start from the seller point of view. If I'm a buyer on Zalando, what are the key differences I'm going to find in terms of the proposition buying something from Zalando versus Amazon?
I think the biggest difference is the fact that Zalando is a curated marketplace. That means that you cannot easily access the marketplace without going through a very tough KYC procedure. You are, let's say, part of a selected group of brands that has, let's say, like the right qualitative requirements that's in line with what Zalando wants to offer to its consumers. And I think also like prices should be okay from a medium to premium, not uber premium, not too cheap. That's one thing. Also, as a seller, it's not so easy, let's say, to get your products properly uploaded. It takes a lot of tender love and care to get your products listed in the right quality. And very important here is the first time right principle. If it doesn't get uploaded the first time right, then it takes a lot of work and a lot of making of cases, like most of you know, like you are doing on Amazon. So on the one side, it makes it also a pretty intensive marketplace if you want to be successful there.
What do you see when it comes to Zalando in terms of the returns process and how it impacts the economics for the seller?
That's one of, let's say, the downsides of Zalando. It's the return rate. Zalando doesn't communicate any official numbers around this, probably because the number is too high, but you should be aware that the return rate will be somewhere between 30 and 50%. They're making significant investments in, let's say, like improving the return process, also to reduce returns as much as possible, and also to stop the misabuse that consumers are often doing.
In terms of the actual content, how much of that can I take in for the product page on Zalando versus how much am I going to either have to recreate or optimize? What's the level of rework or investment to achieve best practice?
Zalando, everything is very uniform. All the pack shots are, let's say, in the same type of look and feel, which gives a certain, let's say, like calmness to the platform. Because everything is very structured and yeah, in the same kind of visual identity. On the text side, etc., Zalando is very limited, given the fact that there is just not much work that needs to be done in any case. Really important is that you just follow very precisely the structure of how a Zalando title should look like, and that you make sure that there is a size table foreseen and that your pack shots are in line with the Zalando requirement.
What are the tick boxes that you think Zalando is looking for when it comes to brands?
Yeah, currently they are very strict. because the KYC procedure is very intense. So that also means that people from the Zalando side needs to be involved in order to go through all the documentation and to make sure everything is rightfully applied. If you want to be successful currently on Zalando and you want to apply as a new brand, then the one thing that comes to mind is having this thing around sustainability. If you are a brand starting from scratch and you think, hey, Zalando will help me on the one hand with building my brand awareness, as also serving as a purchase channel, then probably Zalando will not accept your application.
Yeah.
You need to already have a certain level of success in other marketplaces or in the offline retail world. And probably they also look, let's say, like in the search terms. If nobody has ever searched for it, probably they will not accept your application.
What are some of the things that you would put under each category? You know, the watch outs and the success stories. What comes to mind?
The first one is Zalando. Every season they're cleaning up their assortment. And the one good tip I can give to all the potential sellers on the platform is make sure you tag your products as all season. Because if you're tagged as winter season or a summer season, you are put offline at some point without any notification, and then you need to re-tag your assortment again, which will take a few weeks before you're back online. Sometimes it's even been cancelled. And what's definitely a big winner is all the seasonal events of Zalando. There is so much traffic on the marketplace during the mid-season sales, during, let's say, the October sales, and so on and so on. You need to participate on those events. And you can already do that with a kind of a very minimal promo. Sometimes even a promo of 3% or 5% is already sufficient. So it's a very, let's say, like efficient way to generate a lot of sales.
I'm sure there might be some viewers that are listening to this that would love to get in touch with you and explore some of this topic further. What's the best way to do that?
You just send an email to steven@distrilink.be and your mail automatically comes into my mailbox.